Can I interrupt you again?
Of course you can.
So you know when a guy came here and he said to you, and you read in the book of the Bible, right? What he was doing, he was being an apologist because you didn't want to just see it for what it was and admit.
I can see it as it is.
Yeah, and what it is.
I read it.
Yeah, but what it was is a mistake. It was a mistake because if you create something, and then you're not happy with that creation anymore, but you're perfect. You remember you're perfect as a creator. You're perfect. You created something that you wasn't happy with. So you bring back the flood, and then start again. Shows you that you obviously made a mistake. It's like baking a cake, and the first cake you try, when you put it in the oven, it doesn't rise properly. It stays flat. So you take the cake, you chuck it away, and you bring new ingredients again, and then the cake turns out better than the last one. So that's what it was. It's a mistake. But you don't want to, because of obviously the nature of what you are about, which is obviously trying to spread the word. You can't be seen to be saying it's like blasphemy to say that you're right, he made a mistake. So what you do, you cover it up with apologetic rhetoric. That's what you do. Come on, I'm 57, same age group as you, so I know exactly what you're doing. But you haven't got enough truth in you to want to admit that. You've got nothing to say back to me.
You didn't ask me a question.
Huh?
You didn't ask me a question.
Well, what I'm saying, I'm putting to you that you're not being truthful because he did make a mistake, but you're saying that he didn't. That's what I put to you.
I'll let you put it to me. You're entitled to put it to me.
But what I'm saying, you're not going to give me no feedback. Say, well, you're
You want me to respond? Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know I want you to respond. So now you're just playing like you don't know that. You know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, I know. But I'll let you talk. So, what I said as you're walking away, this is an anthropomorphism. Now you can say, no, it's not. The plain reading is God repents of his creation. So therefore, that God has made a mistake, therefore he can't be the God as we define God. But I've said, I'm saying that's a fair interpretation, because on the face of it, that's what it looks like. But there's another interpretation, that this is not anthropomorphism. If that interpretation is correct, then it doesn't mean that my beliefs are wrong. So which is the correct interpretation?
I would say the one where it looks like he's made a mistake.
Why is the anthropomorphic interpretation wrong?
I don't know what that word means.
Oh, okay, well, you guys didn't wait for me to explain.
Because it's annoying, because we don't need to... It's like, have you heard of someone called Jordan Peterson?
Yes.
Jordan Peterson, what he does, he just comes out with all this piffle-faffle, to try and confuse people more. So when you're coming out with this big word that I've never heard before, high vocabulary, I'm not a dumb person, but what is again, it's like a little bit of trickster. You're trying to actually see if you can muddy the waters by coming out with words to divert away from the truth, which is God made a mistake.
Except that I would have defined it, and then you could have said, oh, I don't believe that. It was a simple matter. People say things to me, and I don't get what they're saying, so I'll ask them to tell me what that means.
Right. The thing is, you don't need to come out with that big word, right? I know we're being filmed. You don't need to
I think you'll find if I tell you what it means, it's a good word that gives the essence of what I'm saying. And don't forget, I don't know you. I don't know what words you know and what you don't know.
Yeah, but that word is not bandied around a lot, is it?
True. But I still don't know what you know. And if I get it wrong, I'll say to you, look, here's what it means. But you were going off, you see, so I didn't have a chance.
The reason why I went off is because I just thought that you're basically taking the mickey. Because instead of just saying it for what it was, he made a mistake, you're trying to cover it up.
But I would have been doing that. I would have been trying to cover it up from the moment you came to me and said about God making a mistake. I said he repented, which is a variation on that, and then I opened the book right in front of you to read it. I didn't then start blathering and diverting from the subject. I stayed on the subject, which should have led you to believe that I'm happy to stay with it and go through it.
But you don't want to admit that you made a mistake.
Because I've got an interpretation, which I'll give you if you'll listen.
No, look. Let me say. When you create something, right? If you're all-knowing and perfect, if you create that thing, you don't even need to test it, because you already know what it is. And you already know what it's going to do, isn't it? Right? There can't be nothing more straightforward than me saying that to you. But even in me saying that to you, you're going to find a way to spin it. Are you not?
I'm just dealing with the text you gave me. That's all I'm doing. You see, if you get a Catholic theologian of the Middle Ages or modern times, and you were to take their writings, you couldn't apply the approach I'm applying to Scripture, because it's written in a different time where anthropomorphisms, and I'll have to explain what I mean by that, would not be appropriate to speak of. But in the time of the ancient world, that was an entirely proper way of speaking about God. So when somebody would write that God repents, God is sad, God is angry, none of these really describe God. They're describing God for a human audience. Now that's the alternative interpretation to the one you accept.
But the thing is, listen, what's really happened is, what you've done through what you're going to say is the right way, you've made things more complex, because I want to stick on just straightforward, straight lines. But when you're using other words and saying about, oh well, back in those days things were different, linguistics, vocabulary, understanding was different, it's just showing even more that it's an excuse to cover up something which doesn't need to be covered up. You understand? Because people will always try and look for ways to wiggle out of something just so they can divert from speaking.
Of course, and you have to assess whether it's wiggling. Now,
that's what you're doing.
It is true, though, there are different genres in the Bible. One must take account of the ancient Near East way of expression when one's looking at texts coming from that period. You wouldn't take an ancient Assyrian text or Akkadian text and just say, read it as you're a 20th century man. You just wouldn't do that. So, really, what I have to say is, saying everything can't be complex is a mistake, because things are complex. That's just the way life is, you know?
Yeah, but no, stop there. You say things are complex, that's the way life is. People, when they're trying to cover things up, they also play games and make it more complex than what it is, to see if they can confuse the person to basically make that person. So let's be honest, to make that person come onto their narrative and their ideology.
That's true.
And that's exactly what you're doing to me.
So you have then the real complex. You have real complexity and you have fake complexity. Right? Is that that's what you're saying, right? There's those who use complexity to cover something up. Those who are dealing with real complexity. Now, if you think that the writings of the ancient Near East do not require a complex analysis, I think you're mistaken.
Stop there a minute, because what I'm trying to say, it's hard enough already for many people to prove God, yeah? And then now, when we go and muddy the waters and throw spanners in the works, so to speak, by making it more complex, it sends more people away from...
Don't worry about what the result is. What matters is the text complex or not? That's all that matters. I'm saying to you the text is complex. For example, there'll be things that I like in a text which might benefit me as an apologist, but would not be applicable, because it really is in the context of the ancient Near East. It's not really saying what I want it to say. So things can work both ways, in my favour and against me.
Again.